Good morning. My name is Jessica Beam, and I am the Curriculum Coordinator at Mid Carolina Middle School. Thank you for joining me today at our second Parent Institute of the year, where we will be discussing iReady. So first, what is iReady? iReady is an online program for reading and math. Now, this is different than what I know y'all are used to hearing iExcel. iReady is specifically for reading and math, and it does multiple things for not only the teacher but for the student as well. It allows teachers to determine the student needs based on their diagnostic scores. It personalizes the instruction for the student in MyPath based on their diagnostic scores, and it helps monitor their progress. And everyone can monitor their progress. You can, the student can, and the teacher can. Each diagnostic is given 3 times a year. So for reading, they will take it in the fall, winter, and spring, and same thing for the math diagnostic. And from that diagnostic, it personalizes your student instruction to support their weaknesses. And so based on what they scored on that diagnostic, iReady creates a personalized path called MyPath to support your students' needs. So the big question is, how do I access this program? Well, first, your students should know how to, but I want to show you how to, so if any questions come up, you know how to get to it. The first thing you'll do is go to Google Chrome on your student's desktop, and then go to their Clever account. From there, you will see this icon that says iReady. It looks just like this. Now, some students have it saved in their favorites, and it'll pop up at the top of their Clever account, but others don't, so you actually have to scroll down to find that. So this is exactly what you're looking for. It looks exactly like that. Once you click into iReady, it should log that student in automatically since they're in Clever. You're going to be able to navigate through some items, and so you will learn about MyPath, how to check your student progress, and an even more awesome resource is that Family Center at the top right, and I'm going in more detail about these in a second. But that center is actually going to give you more in-depth details so that you can learn about iReady as well. So let's talk about MyPath. There is a MyPath for both reading and a MyPath for math. MyPath for reading has next lessons based on your student diagnostic scores. Those lessons, again, are personalized lessons. It's exactly where your student needs, where they need to grow. Some students do have a close reader, and those are for grades 2 through 6 score range, and that close reader is actually breaking down different concepts by reading the same text. So they will read the same text 3 times. Now, don't freak out. It is not I'm just sitting here and reading a text. It's a very interactive program. So this close reading has avatars who ask questions on every page, has students click on certain things on the program. So it's very interactive, colorful, and all of these things. But they actually are reading for understanding, reading to analyze, and reading to write, which will also support your students for SC Ready, when they are doing their text-dependent analysis question. They are pretty much learning how to go through that process so they can do that writing piece. And it also helps in the classroom, reading for certain reasons. It gives them that opportunity to learn, oh, I need this so I can understand what the text is saying, and then I can analyze what the text says. And then I know exactly what I'm looking for, so now I can write about what I've read. Math also has a MyPath. It has next lessons that, again, are based off of your student diagnostic scores. And they also have learning games. And that's right down here in the options they can click on. Now, this is not available for reading. It's just available for math. And these math games are based on, again, math, but it supports math skills for your students. We encourage students to be working in iReady every week. Our expectation is that they do a lesson each Wednesday while at home or at another time during the week. And it's there to support them. It's personalized. This is where your student needs more growth, and it's there so that they can grow. And so that's why we encourage them to work on MyPath once a week for both reading and math, so that they are working on what they need, where they need to be met, and what skills they need to build. Another thing that you will find in iReady at the bottom, it's called My Progress. And My Progress allows students and you to track the time they have been on task and working on lessons, the number of lessons they've passed for the year, and a past lesson streak. So it's encouraged them, as you can see, I've passed 14 lessons in reading in a row, and in math, I've passed 3 lessons in a row. So it's just a little encouragement for them. You can also click on the completed work arrow here at the bottom for both math and for reading, and it will allow students and you to see the lessons they've completed, the score they've made, as well as their score on their diagnostic. And it will also tell you if the student has passed a lesson or not. And so with passing lessons, iReady allows students to try a lesson twice. And if they didn't pass it twice, then it kicks them out of their lesson and moves them on. And that's to help with frustration levels, but the teacher can go in and re-release that lesson to the student to try again. But the great thing about these lessons that they're doing, it scaffolds each step. So it's really important that the student is taking their time and really growing from these lessons, learning from what they're saying, answering the questions based off of the examples they've given them. So it's a very big process, but it scaffolds the lessons for the student. Now with Family Center, this is a resource that is great for you. You are actually going to find it at the top right corner of your Students iReady account. And you will see it has Family Center with 2 little people on it. And it takes you to a website. And that website's going to look just like this one on the page. And so it contains videos on how to support students learning at home, gives more details on what iReady is. It has frequently asked questions and understanding student data. It's kind of that one-stop shop. And the reason why it's important to understand the data of iReady, which we'll talk about more, is because if you've been in this district, we've only used map testing. And the good thing about iReady is it's not just a test. It's not just that assessment. It's not just a diagnostic. It is a diagnostic that learns from what your student knows and what they need help in, and it personalizes their instruction. So it's just not just that one testing piece, it actually personalizes the instruction so that your students can learn and be successful. So looking at the iReady project. So I know that you've heard of this from your student and Ms. Westwood's weekly phone calls, but the iReady project differentiates instruction based on your student's score. And I know I keep mentioning that, but that is the key to iReady. It is based in the instruction off of the student's diagnostic scores. We ask that students work each week in reading for iReady and math in iReady, so they can complete at least one lesson. So they're growing, so they're learning, so that they are building off of what they know and what they can be more successful in. By working in iReady, students are building the understanding and knowledge they need to be successful because it meets them exactly where they are. So let's talk about what these numbers mean. iReady has a score range for each grade level, as you can see, for the reading scores and the math scores. Now this is different because when MAP was around, we had one set score. For this one set score, that's the score they needed to be at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the year. iReady has a range, and as you can see from K through 12th grade for reading and math, you are seeing a range score. And it's broken down into the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. And so focusing on 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you can see these ranges of where your student is going to be. And so that's the big difference in iReady to MAP. It has a range. But remember, iReady is rigorous, and it continually meets students where they are to support their growth. For reading, there are 5 different domains that give us our overall range score that you're seeing right now. The domains are phonological awareness, phonics, high-frequency words, literature comprehension, and informational text comprehension. So those 5 domains actually come together to give us our range score that you're seeing right now. And students are not going to be on the same level in each range, and that's how iReady differentiates that instruction. Let's say their score in informational text comprehension is higher than literature comprehension. So they're going to focus on literature comprehension because that's where the student's weakness is. And for math, there are these domains. There's numbers and operations, algebra and algebraic thinking, measurement and data, and geometry. And so again, just like in reading, those different domains come together to give you your overall range, which is what you're seeing. And then based on where they are in those domains, my path creates that individualized lesson plan for them. So for 6th grade ranges in reading, the range they would start at is a 598, and by the end of the year, the high end is a 653. For math, the low end is a 495 to a 564. For 7th grade reading, at the beginning, the low end is a 609, and the high end at the end of the year is a 669. For math, it's a 508 to a 574. And for 8th grade, your ranges for reading, beginning of the year, low is 620, and it goes to a 684 on the high end. And for math, the low end is a 518 going to a 585 by the end of the year for your high end. And so all of those ranges right there, again, it's a range. There's not a set score. We need them in that range. And so my path is pushing them to get to those ranges and get them back on grade level or above grade level. So let's talk about the diagnostic. Students take the diagnostic 3 times a year. They take in the fall, the winter, the spring. And this past year they took it first thing in August. You remember our leap year, our leap week. And then in the winter they took in November. And spring, they're actually going to take it in April. So the first week that they come back from spring break, teachers are going to do some goal setting with the students and to help with getting their where we need them to be. And so iReady has 2 different goals for students that teachers see. They see a typical growth and a stretch growth. So the typical growth is actually what typically students grow throughout an entire year. And then the stretch growth is not typical. It's that student who's going above and beyond and truly, truly taking everything in and growing significantly. So we do have some incentives for our spring testing for students. If they reach their typical growth, they get an incentive, and then if they reach their stretch growth, they're getting an incentive as well, a bigger incentive. So we just want to encourage our students to do the best they can do. They will test reading April 19th and 20th and math April 22nd and 23rd. And that's going to happen first thing in the morning when they're all fresh and ready, just ate a good breakfast. And so they will be testing the second week we come back from spring break. So please make sure your students are here and they're ready to rock and roll. And we're excited And once they finish that third diagnostic, again, they have that My Path that's going to be available to help push them through and keep helping them grow after that final diagnostic. So what can you do to support your student? You can also find this in that family center I discussed with you. So let's talk about some things you can do to support your student. Let's talk about explaining. Explain to your student how working on a Ready can help them continue their learning while they are away from school. And that's why we encourage them to do this on Wednesdays. They're away from school, and this will help them grow. It meets them where they are. Make a plan with your student. Get together with your student on how to spend their time at home and how they will, and when they'll work on their learning activities. And I know it's been such a crazy year. We've been virtual learning. We got out in March of last year, so this year's just been very different. But sitting down and making a plan with your student, let them know that, hey, I know this is going on. Let's sit down and let's make a plan together and give you a set time to actually work on this. Share the experience with your student. Both of you can become very familiar with everything that's in that student dashboard. That's what I showed you earlier. And you knowing now what they can see and what you can see on their program is going to help them. Now you're aware, oh, I know that I can see what you've done this week in your lessons, and I can go to Family Center and see all of these things too. And so just sharing that experience with your student. Encourage your student to take each lesson and quiz that comes with the lesson seriously. And the good thing about these lessons is they scaffold the learning for your student before they get to that quiz. And y'all are also great about being a great support, not only to the students, but to the school as well. But encourage them to take a step back. Think before you click. Take your time. Hit the back button if you need to go back and refresh yourself on what they were talking about. Really encouraging them to take the time and taking these lessons seriously because it's there for them and it's personalized to help them grow. You also can track and discuss progress with your students. Regularly review progress with your students through that My Progress page. And I showed you that where you could see the lessons, you could see how long they've been on task for the week. Just encourage them and show them, hey, let's look at this together. What can I do to support you? And celebrate with your student. All of them have been working so hard, especially with all the wrenches that have been thrown at them this year. Celebrate with them. Celebrate their progress, how proud you are of them, those milestones that they've been reaching. Just keep celebrating with them because we're celebrating with them too, and we're giving them our best, and I know they're giving us their best. And follow your teacher guidance. The teachers are sending home the iExcel and iReady project on Friday, March the 26th. And so ask your students about that. See what they're expected to do. iExcel is different than iReady. It's a different program that's more based on grade level standards, and iReady is based on where your student needs that success at. So remember, that's two different things. iExcel is based on standard base. That's exactly where they are in their work and classroom, and iReady is where your student needs to be, like where we need to support them more. So that's why we're using both of these programs. But just encourage your students. If you have any questions, please email the teachers. They're always here to help and support you and your child. So if you have any questions, here's my email address. Please contact me if you need anything. I'm always here. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this and learn with us. And go in to your Students iReady account. Click on that Family Center. There's some videos there for you, some more factual information. So please go and check all of that out. Thank you so much.